This episode of Yes But Why podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/Yes But Why. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Download your free audiobook today at audibletrial.com/Yes But Why. I'm Amy Jordan, and this is Yes But Why podcast. Yeah. You and I have comedy in common, right? So we're working on shows. We know unreliable people. Comedians, on the whole, are generally unreliable. I do improv. People sign up for improv classes because they think it'll be better because they don't have to memorize lines. Like, no shit, that's things that people are saying, right? Like, no. So, you know, it can be tough to deal with unreliable people, and I'm sure that you and I have both had experience with gigs or shows or, you know, just generally flaky folks.
It's really weird because I make it a point to knowing this, because I started doing stand-up when I was 17. Knowing that this was the case, I made it a point, and even to this day, if I do a show someplace, I am there an hour early. I'm always in the city early in the day. You know, none of my friends want to ride with me because you get to the place too early, man. I go, yeah, because, you know, the booker kind of wants to know you're there.
Yeah.
and I just think, and for some reason, it seemed to be that it's, I was surprised at how many people didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's also nice that you're there because you're like watching the other comedians. Like, they get audience in you. And that's nice of you to provide. It's almost like, you know, the retweet wars. I'm in so many DM groups and everybody's talking back and forth about like, well, this guy doesn't retweet and da-da-da. It's like, okay, I get it, tit for tat. You want something, I want something, let's do it. Yeah, but come on. Like, people are flaky occasionally in life. And, yeah, I mean, that kind of thing is across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually managing a room, so I actually understood. This was like 10, 15 years ago, but I understood the concept of being the booker, and you know, and the manager of the room, and knowing what it's like to have a show that starts at 8 and have the comics show up at 7:52.
What show were you managing?
You know,
yeah, right.
We had a room down in Philadelphia. It was in a place called the Spaghetti Warehouse, and they used to do theater shows like Tony and Tina's Wedding and things of that nature, and mystery science type shows. And then we do comedy shows on Saturdays, and it was fun because it was kind of a family atmosphere. Obviously, you're in the same club. You know all the waitresses. You know the general manager. The regional manager would always come in, and you know I've had to talk to him all the time, obviously. And then I'm sitting there, and the only thing that saved everything was the simple fact that I can do a 2-hour show by myself. So if they don't show up, there will be a show. I mean, there would have been a show. It's just that, you know, but I'm just imagining if it was somebody that was not a professional, who was not a performer, you know, and they couldn't go, well, if none of the comics didn't show up, all right. And then just go up and do the show yourself. But if I didn't have that ability, if I was just the booker, you're terrified. Because there's like 200 and something people sitting there in the Spaghetti Warehouse. Was a smaller place. It was like 100 people in there. But they still have 100 angry people sitting there, wondering where the heck is the show they paid for, because if we just ate dinner, we better get a daggone show. And
Yeah, right. Man, think
you
about
know,
the hours you put in just doing that show by yourself.
oh goodness gracious! I mean, it's just a really an interesting thing, because you were talking about improv classes, and you know, I did that as well, and I enjoyed that, but I could see
Right.
how, a lot of people. Do you teach an improv class?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Do you get mostly, I mean, people who are actually in the business, or do you get people that, because the one I was in was just all actors and comics, but I know that some of the other people that I knew that did it, they got actors and comics, but they also got people that, I've always wanted to try performing.
Yeah. I've gotten a few of those. I've always wanted to try performing. I've gotten a few like I want to get out of my shell. Um
Yeah, yeah.
we had we had a couple of people that were like there's this one guy that did the whole program. Like he did the full 5 levels, and he was a
hmm
travel writer, and he was like
hmm
a blogger, and he would travel around and blog about it, but he kind of just wanted to be able to interact with new cultures easier. So he was like, "Can you help me get more comfortable talking to strangers?" And we were like, "Yeah, pretty much what we do." Like, yeah, come on in. And it was great. And what's funny is when he graduated, I never saw him again, because it's not like he was looking for stage time. He was legitimately getting a skill, and he was like, "Great, thanks. I'm going to take this skill, and now I'm going to go back and do my job." I was like, "Wow, super
What's really weird?
wild."
That's an interesting thing, because I think of guys like that, or someone who takes a stand-up comedy class and really, the kind of people that really, obviously as an instructor, you see people that really embrace it, throw themselves into it. You can see them working hard and taking it seriously, but they don't want to do a career. They just want the experience. It's almost like it's like when you watch a college basketball player that knows they're not going to the NBA. They just love basketball,
Yeah.
and they just want to play basketball because they love basketball. And those people, I enjoy being around them, because it's inspiring, because they're so in love with the art form itself that it's infectious
Well, I think there's two
in
different
many cases.
types. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
there's the people who are actually just sort of like old soul, like education. Like, there are
Mm-hmm.
people that you meet where, like, you're like, "So what do you do?" And they're like, "Well, I go to this gardening class, and then I do this yoga class, and then I take Korean, and then I do." So, like, they're always learning. There's those kinds of people. And then there's the
Mm-hmm.
people that like act like they're those kinds of people, but like really want to be famous. Like everybody really, especially in the culture right now, like with social
Mm-hmm.
media, you could
Ooh.
say, any one of us could say, "No, that's not what I want." But if it happened to me tomorrow, I'd be like, "That's what I wanted." Like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
fine if I, grow old and gray and only a handful of people know my name or whatever, and it's not even about that. But at the same time, I would take it. I would take it so much.
Mm-hmm.
So would all those people. All those people are like taking the classes and like trying to be good. They would take it. I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only
Yeah.
15. We
I
all
mean,
are aware that it's only 15 minutes now. And 15 minutes is like 2 clicks.
just, I just get a kick out of when I watch the you'll see maybe Instagram or YouTube or something like that, and the people are all copying each other.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and then after they copy each other, they begin arguing that the other person ripped them off, even though they ripped someone else off.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, a lot of your content essentially is you arguing with other people
Yeah,
on
right?
YouTube. And I'm sitting going, in the beginning you were doing these inventive things and the wonderful effects and all this. I was sitting there going, oh, this is great. This person's great. She's great. And then you come and very slowly, and another thing, that other person, I said and she said I don't like it. I'm the person. And then you're going, really? You came up with did you? Yeah, okay, that's incredible. You know,
Yeah.
and that's why I love the world that we're in, not just the comedy world, but the podcasting world, because I'm sure that exists in the podcasting world as well. But it's the you remember those old '70s sitcoms when when they would have maybe there was a person in the building who was poor, and they'd all get together and put on a show because Jim needs the rent money, and and they all get together and put on the show, and at the end of the show, they came up with exactly the amount of money Jim needed for rent. Everybody jumps up in the air, it freeze frames, and the credits come on.
Yeah.
It feels like that because it's so, and everyone is legitimately happy when something good happens to you.
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest thing because I'm sitting there going, I remember when I saw a couple of people that started after me in podcasting, they just zoom. And I'm sitting there going, that is the coolest thing ever.
Well, it's
and I
nice.
felt no jealousy.
It's nice that you feel no jealousy. Are you sure that nobody else feels jealousy? Because, like, I, for instance, love it when people do well. Like, because I'm teaching, but like, I think it's great. Like you're saying, I find it. Well, I find it in me. Let's say there's a lot of people in comedy that I know who are mad when other people do well. But when I see a person, it's like, what was it the other day? Even people I don't know. Like I saw this one girl in 2 commercials in a row on like Hulu or something, and I was all like, yeah, good job, girlfriend. You got 2 commercials. Like, I don't know that girl. I don't know who she is or what she's doing, right? But I'm all like proud of her because I'm like, I don't know your name, but I just saw your face twice for 2 different things. Good job. I don't know. There's something nice about it. I'm glad you feel that way. I think it's better.
It's. I think it probably came more so with. I'm 50 now, so when I'm sure when I was younger, I was like, "What? How come that person has some success, even though it has nothing to do with me? I'm still upset about it."
Yeah,
sure
there's a lot of stuff about being young and feeling like you're in constant competition with everybody else. Yeah, I'm 40, and it's like starting to go away, and I was like, "Oh, good. Who cares?"
That was right around when it was right around there where it started early. It started like right around 30. I went, who the heck cares? By the time when I got to 40, I was like, I really legitimately just didn't feel jealousy for other people. I'm like, it's not like they went, listen, you're good too, but this is the universe talking to you as Anthony. Listen, we've chosen to make you wait longer just because we can, and we're going to give all of the success we were going to give you, and we're going to pass it off to this other person. They don't deserve it at all, and we're going to make sure you don't get it. And I can't even understand why the person would think that way. But like I said, it just comes from being an older person. You just go, hey, it'll be what it is. I enjoy the art form. I just enjoy doing it, and the success is building slowly. And when it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'll still be okay.
Yeah, totally. Plus, sometimes I think that I don't know exactly how long the internet as a thing is going to exist. Like, I don't know if it'll be around forever. I don't think so. But, for a while, hopefully a couple 100 years, it'd be cool for people to be able to, hear people's conversations and be able to identify with other people and say like, oh man, I'm not the only one that talks like this with their friends, or like, I'm not the only one who wants to do this for my career, or, there's just so many that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like a lot of the podcasts that are being created, if the person who's doing it is really interested in whatever specific topic it is, then it's good. But you can almost tell the ones where they don't really care about it. They're just doing it because it's their job. Like somebody hired them to be the host. And you're like, ugh, God, are you at all interested in this case you're presenting to me? Like, geez. Because there's a lot of true crime and there's a lot of, that's real clickbaity. Yeah. Like you and I are kind of doing more like interview stuff with people, and you have to actually care about human beings to be interested in that. You know what I mean? So, and that's only, a handful of people who care.
There were so many podcasts as it is now, and I had a conversation with another friend of mine who also does this podcasting as well, and they were upset, and I was trying to figure out why they were upset, and they were just, oh man, and another thing, and essentially what their problem was. The problem they had was there were people. I even tweeted about it once. There were a lot of people who are famous and they have 4 television shows now. You know, and they all decided now they want to have a podcast. Dr. Phil has a podcast. Trevor Noah has a podcast. All of these people that have sitcoms and late night programs have a podcast. And what happens is the top of the charts, which a lot of times if you got to the top of the charts, even if it was a new and noteworthy, you could get subscribers that way. But when all the stars come in, and let's be honest, if 150 stars decide they want to do podcasts, what are the odds that you're going to get into the top 10, the top 10, the top 100? 0. So no one's going to scroll down to number 275 to see who the new people are. And that was his problem. And also, it also the people that, you know, this is the hot new thing. Guess I'm going to do it, and it kind of clouds things up. You know?
Well,
and I just said, you know.
What did you tell him? I have opinions, but I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I said, be honest with you. I said, you know, I completely ignore that because I know that in the podcasting world, the audience doesn't have to be so massive to feel like you're doing something. And also, the people that are going to go to do those podcasts, if they might actually bring people into podcasting to listen to it. There are people that don't even know what it is or know that it exists, but don't know how to download one, never listen to one. And they may bring people into the game that weren't in there before, but they do clog up the area a little bit. So like in stand-up, when you would do an open mic night or a showcase night, and there would be, you know, I would be at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, and before I got on, they would bump me 5 or 6 times. And I'm going,
oh yeah.
And it would be 5 or 6 people from sitcoms who aren't stand-ups, aren't going to do stand-up, don't want to do stand-up, but just figured, what the hell, I'll try it.
Yeah.
You know, so instead of going at 9, I going at 11:30, and I realized that's just the way it is. But you know, it didn't affect me that much. But I mean, it was a pain in the butt at the time.
Well, L.A., that's kind of a different story. As far as celebrities doing podcasts, though, I am going to argue that I am pro-celebrity. And I'm not saying that you're not right. They are clogging the airwaves. They are getting a lot of stage time. They're getting a lot of screen time. And now they're trying to get a lot of ear time. I don't know. But if you think about them, and my podcast has a lot to do with this, like the idea of people who live creative careers, once you're at the point, at the level that you are a sitcom or a, you know, TV drama or a movie star, you don't have any control over your career. There is a team of people who make decisions for you. You're in the movies that they tell you to be in. I'm sure you have a little, once you get real famous, you can pick and choose. Like, nobody's forcing Julia Roberts to do Homecoming. You know what I mean? But nobody's like, Tom Hanks, get in another movie. You need some cash. Like, nobody's doing that. But from the first audition of your career to you're at like Will Smith level, you mostly have to do what other people tell you. So I think of podcasting as like the freest form of communication. Nobody's going in and editing what I'm saying. Hopefully, and I'm going to knock on wood here, hopefully the FCC never gets their hands on any of podcasting, because the beauty of it is that it's just a bunch of human beings reaching out into the ether, trying to connect with other people, right? And some of the actors are doing podcasts that are about totally unrelated to acting things, or they've lived an interesting, specific life, and so then they want to share those stories. I mean, that's what a lot of podcasting is like, whoa, my life's been crazy. Listen to this. Maybe you don't have to go through this to learn the lessons. That kind of stuff. And I feel like that's valid for any human being. Plus, they're artists. They are going to be creating no matter what. But in this medium, they are given a freedom that they're not usually given. And so let them have it. Poor kids. People will like us. People will like us. There's plenty of love to go around.
Well, keep in mind, this was my argument was they're bringing people in.
Yeah.
I was on the other side of the argument. You know, Because like you said, he said I was when I said clog, I was talking about the stand-up stage, but even then, I said it didn't really matter to me either way. I was fine. And as far as the podcast, I like the fact that they're coming in. The only problem I had was that what people used before to get the new and noteworthy. You're not getting a new and noteworthy anymore. It's not going to happen. Top 10, top 20, it's not going to happen. But the thing is, my thing was, what I thought was, you just have to find the people that like you and do what you do, and they will find you. Because I've been on my original podcast is 5 years old.
What's the name of that original podcast, by the way? Your current podcast is the S. Anthony Thomas Show. What was the previous one's name?
Oh, wrong tense. I do both of them at the same time.
Oh, okay.
They both exist.
What is the name of your other podcast?
The original podcast is the S. Anthony Says podcast.
Oh.
I still do that weekly. And the second one is the S. Anthony Thomas Show. The S. Anthony Thomas Show, the second one, was created specifically so I could interview people and and do other things. On the original podcast, the only voice on that one is me.
Okay, I've just heard the interviews.
Yeah, the other one, that's just me. And I've been doing that one for a while. I just wanted to separate them because one would be just me speaking about what happened to me, kind of like a vlog, an audio vlog. That's what that is. I'm gonna do characters and improv crap on that also. But the one that you're aware of is the one with the interviews, and I still do some of the same stuff on the second one as well, because there's just something about it, because I wanted to do a one-person show back in the day, right around the time I started the original podcast. But I applied for a Fringe festival a couple of days too late. I thought, and they were like, "Oh, we'd love to have you in this," but unfortunately, the deadline was and I went, "Oh, okay, all right." And sometimes when you do those things logistically, it's a pain in the butt. You had to get insurance, I had to get this, I had to print up the tickets, which I was willing to do. But then I thought, I'm going to try out some of these ideas someplace else. The comedy clubs were the best place to try out the things that I wanted to try out, because sometimes there wasn't necessarily humor in them right away. They were longer stories. And then I became aware of podcasting, and I went, I'll try that. And for some reason, people started listening to it. So and that's the story with that.
Is it mostly people that have seen you do comedy? Or, what do you know of your fans?
I would have to say 95% of the people have never seen me in person.
Whoa, interesting. I thought for sure maybe you were doing stand-up shows and just promoting it well, and so people were like, "Oh, great, let's listen to that guy." Huh.
It was just people telling people. When I'm writing a new show, a new stand-up act, and I should be done this year. Then of course I'm going to go back out again, and of course I'm going to promote the crap out of both podcasts. But I was surprised because and as far as the S. Anthony Thomas Show, 0% have seen me in person, because I'm in the process of writing a new show. I was surprised. I'm stunned. I mean, I didn't expect. I didn't know where they were coming from. And the first one, they're not real people. Yeah, they're real people. Because when you read email and direct messages, and you go, "Oh, okay, I don't think that's one guy right now." Flying to different countries to write this stuff. But it's just, I just love the art form. I was surprised at how much fun it is. Not only just to interview people and have conversations like that, but also, when you're going to do the original one where it's just me and a microphone and Audacity. And it's really a lot of fun. I'm surprised at how much fun it was. And how much fun it still is 5.5 years later, almost 6 years later.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty great. So you have mentioned a couple of cities, and so I'm slightly confused. Where are you in the world right now?
I am in New Jersey right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Philadelphia. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like right outside Philly. Yeah.
Right on.
It's I'm a Philadelphia kid. originally. I'm born and raised in Philadelphia.
Right on. Yeah,
In
because
exactly the same place that.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No, I said in the same place that the Fresh Prince was brought up in West Philadelphia, born and raised. On the playground is where literally that's where I grew up, and we grew up. I don't know him, but we grew up in roughly the same area.
Mhm. So you're the Fresh Prince. I get it. All right, you are the Fresh Prince. I dig it. That
One of these
seems
days,
right.
yeah, I don't have the Fresh Prince's bank account yet, but
You know, the Fresh Prince didn't have the Fresh Prince's bank account until his uncle offered a little assistance. So, hey, he was always the Fresh Prince, whether or not he was in West Philadelphia or Bel Air.
it's true. Unfortunately, yeah, my uncles, neither one of my uncles, none of them are rich. That's unfortunate.
Sure.
That's the problem. So why don't you guys get rich, dagnabbit?
Yeah, I was always hoping for a rich uncle that left me his fortune. Didn't happen. Nope.
That's right. Yeah, I'm sitting there going, first of all, you're alive and healthy. Second of all, you're not rich. Now, what the heck is this? All of you were disappointing me.
For me? Yeah.
They're all disappointing me by being healthy, nice people, but they're not rich. I hate that. Come on, guys.
So when did you leave Philadelphia to go to New Jersey, or were there many other adventures in between?
Oh, I've been New York, Jersey now. Probably, I haven't decided where I'm going to go next. I'll probably go back to Philly, or up to because it's cheaper. I lived in California for the 90s. I was in Hollywood and San Francisco.
California in the 90s, eh? That sounds like a good book.
Yeah, you know, I'll be honest with you, it would definitely be an interesting movie. There was some pretty interesting visuals and and some interesting experiences living in Hollywood. And we got to Hollywood. I went there with a buddy of mine, and we lived in this Fleabag hotel. I don't want to say the name of it because it's still there. And it was horrible. It was literally, and this is not, I'm not even saying this as a joke. Literally, everyone that lived in there, let's say 95% of the people who lived there, literally had just gotten out of jail. This was like their first stop out of jail. Oh. So it was essentially, so we're the only two people in there that have never been arrested. No parking tickets. Even to this day, I have no parking tickets, no speeding tickets, never been arrested, never had any problem. And my buddy was the same way, and we're going, what the hell is that? What? And it literally, you walk out, you open, it was so, when you watch a movie on cable back in the day, and what you would see is so ridiculous. The two innocent guys would open up the gate, and then the over-the-top, evil-looking guys would be standing outside with the really aggressive music, and people fighting in the yards, and people with knives outside. It was literally just like that. So, we're looking at it like, no one's going to believe it. When I describe this to people in the future, people are going to think I'm exaggerating. He's going, yeah, they're going to think we're not making this up. I'm going, but this is, and I was offended that they accepted me immediately and I fit right in. I'm sitting there going, I'm like, what the hell? I was sitting there going, why did they accept us? I was almost offended that they didn't try to rob us or something. I'm going, I'm offended that you say, that you accepted me immediately. But
they knew you didn't have money. You were staying at that hotel.
I know, but if you put a lineup of my buddy and I and these guys in the lineup, you'd go, these two guys are not with them. You would immediately look at them and go, what are you two doing here? And it was just a really weird thing. And we actually went to a place in San Francisco, and we were hanging out there, and we were trying to do some comedy in San Francisco. I had a manager at the time. We go to San Francisco. We found a place to stay, and we go into the room, and we had our beds there. And I'm like, okay, this ought to be a pretty place. We pulled the curtain back. It was a big glass window that opened into an alley.
I had a glass window room in my life too. There was
Oh,
a big glass window into the living room. They're like, "That's your room." I was like, "What?"
and like, no, But this was the kind of alley where you knew that if you went to sleep, there was a good chance that something bad would happen to you. So we literally had to pretend to fight, so they would throw us out and give us our money back. We had a fake fight, and I had to act like, we're trying to look tough. I don't want no problems, man. And they gave us some money back. We walked outside and laughed. But I'm sitting there going, and these are two of the mildest things that happened out there. Because Hollywood in the 90s was a pretty interesting place. It was a weird place. It just, I'd never seen anything like that. And I grew up in a neighborhood that was kind of tough, but when I got there, I went, oh my God. I thought I would be prepared for this, but not quite. I'm not quite prepared for this. This is a little worse than I thought.
Yeah. Oh, man. So tell me about how you first started doing performance. You said you started doing stand-up at 17, but did you do theater or performance or speech or anything when you were in high school or junior high or younger?
Well, the closest thing I had was when I was a Cub Scout. They had plays, and I was very young, but I was able to read very, very quickly. So I could read at several grades higher than I actually was at the time, which was so they were trying to do a play and the other kids couldn't read it as well. And they went, just give me this. And they handed me it and I read the parts. And when I came home, my grandfather always had these, he would always play these radio dramas. And I was fascinated by those things as a little kid. I was fascinated by the fact that the people I knew enough to know that obviously that wasn't a horse. That was obviously some guy with a couple of coconuts smacking them on the table. But I was so fascinated. You know what I mean? When they do those old dramas, here comes the train, the guy picks up a horn.
I love a Foley artist.
Those are, so and those are the best. I mean, just the simple fact that they could draw pictures with sound and they were realistic, even though you knew what was going on. You know there was a guy with a hula skirt on and he could make the grass move. And I got a couple of recorders, and I noticed that I would make my own little plays up as a kid, and I noticed, if I do dialogue into the recorder and leave spaces, I could actually have a conversation with the voice coming out of the tape recorder. With the second tape recorder, I can record that, and then it will sound like I'm having a conversation with myself doing a different voice. Then I can keep going back and forth, adding special effects with my hands and pencils and books. And I kept doing that. And as a kid, I was like 8, 9, 10, 11. And I went, man, I like making people laugh. And I started running around writing jokes and annoying people in the house. Hey, listen to this. And your parents going, oh, it's like, that's pretty good, And I saw some comics on television. And I thought, oh, man, that's pretty
Who were
cool.
your faves?
And I called my favorites that I saw at the time.
Like when you were a kid,
yeah. 80s. When I was a kid, it would have to be Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Bill Cosby, Robert Klein, Rodney Dangerfield, Stephen Wright, people like that.
Oh, Stephen Wright.
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah.
And I just really just love the wordplay. I picked up the phone and I just went to the phone book and I went down the phone book, comedy. And there was a place called the Comedy Works, which was there for a while but closed in the early 90s. And I called up and I said, hey, I just turned 17. Am I old enough to do stand-up? And the guy goes, are you old enough to stand up by yourself, hold a microphone in your hand and talking to it? I didn't know he was being snarky. I'm so nervous making the phone call. I didn't realize how snarky he was being. But he wasn't, and not in a mean way, but more in a playfully sarcastic way. And I said, sure. He goes, all right, 126 Chestnut, sign up at 6. January 8th, 1986. And, caught the subway down there, got number 16. It went well, and that was it.
I can't believe you remember all that. That's amazing.
That date is burned into my mind. January 8th, 1986. I remember I got number 16. It was really weird because walking up those steps, because this club was a big comedy club. I mean, not only was it a big time club, it was an A room, but it was physically big. It held 400 people and had balconies. And
Wow.
so, so and I walked in there, and on the open mic nights, they, 35, 40, maybe 50 people. And one time, kid, you can come down on the weekend if you want to watch a show if you want. Oh, sure, sure, sure. I walked into that place and saw 420 people packed into this monstrous room. And I went, yeah, I'm going to be doing this till I die. I'm never going to stop doing it. Because it's just something about that. I always tell people that I think that an audience that's into the show loves listening to the comedy, whether it be an improv show, stand-up show, play, whatever it is when they're reacting to. But mostly, obviously, because my main art is stand-up. That sound of an audience laughing is the. I feel the same way a person would feel when their favorite song comes on the radio unexpectedly. I feel that's the feeling I get when I hear crowds laughing, whether it's me doing it or somebody else. And that's when I realize, okay, that's what you're supposed to be doing, buddy. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm.
It's really great.
It is just.
It's just such a nice image. Yeah.
It's just an interesting thing when you. I mean, what we do when we get on stage, all performers, I mean, it's essentially. I always think about it as like if you people take showers, people take baths every day, but there's something different about the warm bubble bath that you take when everybody leaves you alone, right? And as a parent with a small child, when you have an opportunity to do that, and you have that, you finally got the kids asleep, you got some time by yourself, you can just sit back and relax. I think that essentially as artists, that's kind of what we do for people. We give them the warm bath that they can enjoy. They don't get to do it all the time. They can't see us all the time, but that's what we do. And I always think about it that way.
Oh, that's nice. You have a much kinder relationship with your audience. I write and produce sketch comedy shows, and so I'm often trying to push the envelope and, try to, write satirical sketches about culture and stuff like that. So I'm usually like, if they don't get mad and happy and sad and laugh all at once in the show, it's not good enough. I'm a little intense.
There's nothing wrong with pushing, it's not like pushing the envelope, because it's always an interesting thing. I used to get in trouble all the time. Early on. I was like, trying to be a little too edgy, but the thing is, as time goes by, you figure out how to do it. You're going to annoy some people, and who cares?
But also, I've made it my mission to figure out how to do it in the best possible way so that it works best. I'll give you my little satire secret. When you want to write a joke or a sketch about something, you have to find something that is analogous to that. And the thing that you talk about is something that's so innocuous that no one's mad at, or whatever your emotion is. And whatever it is, it has to be super similar to that. As an example, if you're worried about asking somebody to marry you, right? A similar feeling is riding a roller coaster. So if you were to start writing a sketch about a person not wanting to ask someone to marry them for whatever reason, you could easily just put those ideas onto a roller coaster, and then this guy won't get on a roller coaster, and he's like, but what if I don't like roller coasters for that long? And you're like, it's not a big deal, just get on the roller coaster and then it'll be over, and then there you are. And it's like, yeah, but where am I? What am I doing at the end of the roller coaster? What does that even mean? You take the things and compare them, because, and that way, and this is just a simple little example, you could go much further. I had a guy give me a sketch for a show I was producing, and it was awesome. It was about, remember a few years ago when they made all the gay marriage licenses? There was that one gal in, I want to say Kentucky, but I could be wrong, There was
Mm.
one gal who was like, she was famously saying she wasn't going to do it. Like, they
Yeah.
talked about her for a while. She was on the news and stuff. She was like, I'm not going to give them out. And eventually, like, they fired her because they're like, okay, well, cool. If you're just publicly saying you're not going to do your job, we're going to go ahead and let you go. But this guy wrote a sketch about two guys going into an ice cream shop together and trying to order an ice cream together, and the
Mm.
woman wouldn't give them the ice cream because it was an abomination. And so, like, and it's just about ice cream. The whole scene
Mm.
never once says anything else except for a discussion about ice cream. But like
Mm.
when she keeps saying it and it gets escalated and the boss is like, "What are you doing? You have one job. Scoop ice cream. Just scoop the ice cream." She's like, "I don't want to give it to them. Who cares who they are? Give it to them." Like it becomes very clear and you're like,
Mm.
"Oh, that lady," right? That was the
Mm.
perfect idea because it was like a way to talk directly about this political thing but make it as soft as humanly possible. It was about ice cream. What's sweeter than that? Right?
Mm.
But
I,
yeah,
it's one of those. I mean, when I watch like say Saturday Night Live, I mean like the older ones, I should say.
I was going to be like
I
currently and for the last like 10 years, Saturday Night Live has been written by 20-year-olds, so you have to take that in with a grain of salt.
yeah, and, it's really weird because I noticed that as you get older and older and older, the filter that things go through is more dense, so there's more layers to it. So you can so you think it's like the way a CEO thinks versus the way someone who works at the company thinks. As you get higher and higher, manager, assistant manager, this, that, and other, you think of a bigger picture, and the CEO has to think of the grandest picture. And so, when I'm putting things together, I try to think in terms of the biggest possible picture. Because if I decide to narrowcast at some point, that's okay, but at least I know how wide I want to cast the net. With the stand-up thing, it's different. With the podcast, I do whatever the heck, especially the original, the heck I want, and I can do what you were saying. But at that point, I really just I don't care. I'll say,
Yeah, you don't care
in
if you're
many
offending
cases,
people.
no, I don't. I mean, not even a little bit. So it's like because and people and because I literally the last episode I remember I had to we had to reschedule this, and you remember why we had to reschedule this talk
Yeah.
uh, because I had. For those of you listening, I had a colonoscopy this Tuesday. Was on the 20th, and I had some prep before that I had to go through.
Sure.
And so people were contacting me. So people that were also said that they were getting close to that age, and people that were kind of delaying it. And I had something else scheduled for the episode, but I spent the entire episode telling people exactly what they were headed for when they were going to a colonoscopy. Now I didn't get gross with it. I didn't talk about I didn't use
Yeah.
rough language or anything like that. But I made it very, very clear and what the experience was going to be like. I wouldn't have done that in my stand-up,
Yeah.
not like that, and mainly because I spent 36 minutes on the telling people exactly what it was like, and obviously injecting humor along the way. I would never stick on. I would never spend 36 minutes of my 45 to 60 minutes on stage as a headliner someplace talking about a colonoscopy. Ever. I mean, I would do. It would be about 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes tops, if that. But on the podcast, just like when you do it's like when you go satirical with when you decide to talk about something politics and something serious, you can do whatever the heck you want. And it's really weird because if you have another outlet for something that you do and you can separate it and put it someplace else, it kind of frees up something. Like when you're talking about a little earlier, when we were talking about having the artists, the TV program, the people that have television programs, moving on to podcasting, and obviously they're artists as well, and they want to express themselves in a different way, and podcasting would be the way to do that. It's true. You could be. It's like when you see someone like Bob Saget act on stand-up. It's a very very dirty stand-up act. But he played the guy on television was squeaky clean. His act was always dirty. You know, so it was funny too, but it was always dirty, and he didn't apologize for that. But he had an opportunity to go do exactly what he wanted to do on the stage, which was completely separate from what was on television. And you're right. Artists need to have that place to do it. Artists need to have a place just to be who you are. I mean, I always talk about how, as human beings, no matter who we are, you should have that thing. There should be that one thing that you like to do for you. You know, it should just be your thing. If you like to play guitar, maybe you put an amp in the basement or in the garage. You put some headphones on. You play guitar. You know, maybe you want to pay. You don't care if anybody hears the guitar playing. You don't care. It may even be something as simple as you putting your kid to sleep and going, "Look, I'm not sharing this cake, this slice of cake, with anybody." You know,
you know me too well.
You know, I know me. We know each other well because I was talking about you, but also talking about me. Because when I had all the teenagers over at the house and I was going shopping for them, I'll be honest with you, they're all adults now. I know they're going to hear this, and I don't care anymore. I'll be honest with you. I stopped off for a Big Mac and ate it in the parking lot before I came home. Okay. All right. I had a piece of cheesecake, and I stood in the supermarket parking lot eating it because I didn't want to have to come home and then come back. You know, come to the refrigerator, open up the bag, and one of them actually went into the refrigerator. I had a sausage, and I got it ready. I had it ready for the football game. You know, you got to, you have to, I don't know if it's a guy thing or not. The ladies do this. You have a show, and you have a culinary experience that you want to match to that show.
Yeah.
You know, you got the football game, right? And I want to eat this sausage for the football game. It's going to be great. I got it in the back of the refrigerator. I got stuff in front of it. I'm sitting in it, working on the computer. One of my little cousins walks in with the sausage unwrapped, wide open, touching it. Do you want this? She's touching it. I went, you can have it. All I wanted to do was eat my sausage, you know? And so, like I said, for that day, that was my thing, the thing I wanted for me, and I didn't get a chance to do that. And we all have to have that thing, whatever it is. We all need that thing as humans.
Can I ask you something about your podcast?
Yes.
And it's okay if you don't want to answer it because it's kind of weird and businessy, but like, are you monetizing it? Is that the word? Monetizing?
I didn't
know why
monetize.
I'm saying the word right now.
I just monetized the one that you're aware of, the S. Anthony Thomas Show. I just started doing that. The original one, no, I did not. I do. I mean, to me, that's almost kind of like my toy at this point.
Right.
And the second one, I did. I just started putting ads on there. Yeah.
The reason why I ask is because I read this article about how Americans are all trying to make money, turn their hobbies into side hustles, and how like people need to try to enjoy stuff for the stuff's sake. Like we were talking earlier about how like some people want to be famous for doing podcasting, and that the better position is to be enjoying the podcasting, and if you become famous for it, well, that's just a bonus. Like, and I feel like it's sort of across the board, like with the advent of the internet and things like Instagram and people just making money for being dumb in like pictures and videos. Everybody wants to be, everybody wants a piece of the pie. They want to make money from it. They want to be able to do this and make money. Part of me, like, I want to pay my bills. I like it. It's a good time. But like, I feel like, I don't know. I don't like pressuring it on any particular project. Like I make money in lots of different creative ways, right? And I'm fine with with my life being 40 million side hustles, but I get that other people aren't. But I don't know, just doing the podcast and enjoying it for itself seems better than trying to, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have ads on my podcast. There's an ad on this
Mm-hmm.
podcast. This podcast episode is sponsored by Audible. But at the same time, like,
Mm-hmm.
imagine if I launched into an ad right there. That'd be great. That would be so awesome. I would be.
For what?
Ooh.
Audible?
For Audible. Like, if all of a
That's
sudden
wonderful.
I jumped in, I was like, 180,000 titles available, like, immediately. Like, I just jump right in. No. I just feel like when I read that article, I was like, are we robbing joy from ourselves? Like, are we, we need stuff. Like you're saying, you need something that you can enjoy. And I think whatever your thing that you enjoy is, you need to enjoy it without worrying about it making you money, let's say.
Mm-hmm. That's what I like. That's the way I'm running the podcast, and so because I literally just do it because I enjoy doing it, and having the monetization be something that just happens on the side. I mean, I'm not going to change how I do the podcast because if you have a television program, you're going to change what they want you to change because you signed a contract and there's some clauses in there. But as far as the podcast is concerned, I'm not. If somebody goes, I don't want to advertise anymore because, and I'll go, okay, because I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me, and I'm doing it for the people that are listening, and I literally just enjoy the process. It reminds me, like we talked about a little earlier when I was a little kid, just taking those two recorders and putting those voices and things on. It's amazing how, 45 years later, like 40 years later, I'm doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Except that I actually have equipment to do it now. But it's just that and I have this, and it's amazing that I have literally. I was going to say the same level of joy, but that's not true. I have more joy in creating the work now because I know what I'm doing now. And so it's just a fun thing, and when you can just do what you want to do, and you just keep doing that, because what happens is if say advertisers leave for whatever reason, and you're being authentic with what you're doing, the only thing that's going to happen is people that see what you're doing and understand what you're doing, all the people that aren't interested will go away, and all the people that don't want to advertise will go away, and you'll be stuck with, and I mean that in the best way, people that like what you do, people that like your interviews, people that like your comedy, and advertisers who get it. And the people that don't get it, no offense to them, okay, thank you for giving me a shot, and hope you find a thing that you like. But I mean, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do it just for the joy of doing it. I just love it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's really great to talk to people and to have conversations, and I just think it's like I was saying before, like with the internet being, however long the internet lasts, these interviews that we put out on the airwaves can help somebody, whoever they might be, to feel like they're not alone, to feel like they can do it. Like with this podcast, with Yes But Why, I want people to know that they can do their creative stuff. And yeah, sometimes you want to do it full time and make it your whole life. Great. But if you just do it on the side, it's okay. If you just do it for the joy, like we were talking earlier about the people in the improv classes who are just doing it for the love, great. Live your life the way you want to live it, and listen, enjoy, and try to experience through our interviews a different perspective. You don't have to live the way that person does, but you listen to their interview and you're like, okay, that's a different way of looking at the world. And I think that's so important to put that out there. I'm glad you are.
It's an interesting thing just to have a different perspective of the people that you listen to. That you like when I would there were people that I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember there were people that I was maybe athletes or actors that I enjoyed their work, but I didn't really pay much attention to them. Say for the sake of argument, they were on the Tonight Show or something like that. I didn't go, well, I need to see this guy or this lady be interviewed. But then I would see them on Saturday Night Live. So maybe it was a dramatic actor that decided to be wacky in a sketch, and he or she was actually very good at it, and you got to see a different side of them. Then all of a sudden, you become more interested in getting to know them. And then when they come on the Tonight Show to do an interview, you actually pay attention because you had an opportunity to see a different perspective of that specific human being. And I think in a long form, the type of podcast that you do and I do, and many other people, when they interview people in a long form, you really get an idea of the type of person who you're talking about, if you're on the same wavelength that that person is. And I was surprised that, people that I interviewed and people that interviewed me, that the people that knew who you were before the interview from your work before, they actually, even though you're interviewing people and you're talking to people all the time as the interviewer, when you're the interviewee, people connect with you even more, which was really weird. I didn't understand that, but it was really weird. I'm saying, people, I really liked you, but then I really liked you after I heard you on this show, and I'm going, you hear me every week for for 5 years, and I didn't say that, but I was just thinking, I said, you listen to me every week for almost 5 years and change, and an interview on someone else's show showed, I guess, a different side. I don't know. And it was pretty cool. I just like the art form because our listeners in this art form, podcasting, are a lot more connected to us than I knew that they would be, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, totally. So one final question from me, and then I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. If my podcast is geared towards people who are, unsure or just beginning their creative, actually it's for everyone, I guess, but I want to provide some advice for people who are doing something creative. You have been doing something creative for most of your life, both with stand-up comedy and now with podcasting. I mean, heck, it sounds like you've been creating radio dramas since you were teeny-tiny. So, you've always been creating. What keeps you going? What keeps you going through the tough times? What keeps you going even when you don't have any sort of drive or no new ideas? What keeps you going?
Well, the thing is, I there's something about, as a creative person, there's something about knowing that something didn't exist at all, and then through your ideas, your hard work, your persistence, something new and special exists that could not possibly exist without you existing. There's something special about that. You draw something, you paint something, you write a song, you put a poem down, you write a couple of pages of your book, and you look at this thing and you go, man, that is amazing. That came through me. As far as the hard times are concerned, I realize that doing anything, even in the creative realm, is the equivalent of kind of the best way I put it is, I remember when I started working out again to get back in shape, and I hadn't worked out in a while. You get on the treadmill and you're okay for the first few minutes, and then all of a sudden you feel this, oh, I can't do anymore. And then you go, no, I'm just going to try it a little longer. And then you go for another couple of minutes. Oh, you get a second wind, and then you go for another 15 minutes, and it happens again and again. And I realize that the tough times are really just temporary. It's like taking a mental breather. You were creating and creating and creating, and you're just taking a breath, and it's like your mind is going, look, I just need a break right now. Everything's going to be okay. So I stopped taking writer's block seriously because I knew it was temporary. I just needed to take some time off, maybe go back and look at the things I've already created and try to improve them. And that always, for me specifically, turned into grist for the mill because I know I already created. I know I created something I liked, and that means I have the capability of doing it again. So if there's a time when you feel burned out, just take a little time away and then come back and admire what you did and realize you are capable of doing that and better. And the writer's block will go away for a while, and you'll be able to create again and again and again. That's the cycle that I use.
Nice. Good. That's awesome. Good advice. I appreciate that. That's a good one. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I think life is in cycles too.
I'm just kidding. Creating sucks. Give up, everybody. Give up. I'm just kidding. Give up. It's over, man. It's over. It's not worth it.
I'm quitting tomorrow, man.
That's it. I can't take it anymore. 33 years was enough. Over, man. 33-year itch. That's what they say. You say, after 33 years, quit. Yeah. It's enough, man.
Yeah.
I'm going back to sales.
Oh God. I don't want you to have to work in sales. I don't want any of us to have to work in sales. Oh
Never
my
gonna happen.
God. Yeah, no, I hate it. It's not going to happen. Anyway, thank you, S. Anthony Thomas, for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you talking to me and sharing so much with me.
Hey, that was an honor to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thanks for listening to Yes But Why Podcast. Check out all our episodes on yesbutwhypodcast.com or check out all the content on our network, HC Universal, at hcuniversalnetwork.com.